Hey family, Ron Spears here with GrownManStyle. I want to continue our interview series. This next brother I'm going to share with you, he is actually a fellow trustee at the church that we belong to in Detroit. We also attend men's Bible study every Tuesday night, and I've noticed over the years that he's extremely outspoken, does not hold back any punches regardless of the topic. I definitely knew I wanted to interview him and get his take on several topics. So he's also retired, and his young people, his children actually, are now adults. And so he is retired and enjoying the fruits of his labor. I'm a little bit jealous, but hey, he's sharing some advice. I'm going to get there, and with his advice, hopefully you can get there too. So right after the jump, I want to introduce you to Vince.
My name is Vincent Ball. I'm a trustee at Hartford, and I've been with Hartford for over 40 years.
Mm,
And ministries I've been active in have been the trustee ministry, obviously, and the Hartford Men United ministry.
mm-hmm,
In the past, I served in the Hartford Men United ministry. I was a lot more active than I am now. Um, I was an officer, and during the tenure of Joe Adams when he was the president,
mm-hmm.
and we did a lot of what attracted me to that was the service element. I That was it. I mean, I really enjoy that because it. I think that's part of our purpose. You know, if you have something, if you can contribute through service, that you should, and it just shows your appreciation for the blessing you've received.
Oh, absolutely. And I've done this with a couple other of the brothers, and one of the common things that I'm always asking is, why do black men tend to avoid coming to church, or if they do come to church, avoid serving? And what type of service first of all, do you have any opinion and perspective on that? And second of all, what type of service work did you do with Hartford Men United that really impacted you?
Okay. The with Hartford Men United, I was the secretary,
Hmm.
but functionally, I did a lot of things that beyond that. A lot of organization stuff. We had a couple golf tournaments, fundraising things, and I administered that. And the service that I really enjoyed was with the schools. We had a Men of Presence program, and we picked a day during the week, and we each that was participating would volunteer to serve just as a person present at the school, and
Hmm.
we were there for. I was there during the lunch period, and just trying to keep a little order in the school, and without being overbearing, but trying to keep some order, and just Joe's idea was to show us as an example of adult black males that were concerned
Hmm.
enough to be there. So I enjoyed that. Did that. We did that for several years. I don't know how long exactly it was, but it was quite a while, and that was fun. And then
Hmm.
we did clothing distribution from the Agape House. We go to halfway houses and women's shelters and distribute clothes. And those were the two things that I found most fulfilling. Um, there were other things, we would help supplement the help that they needed from Hartford Women United and for their events. Uh, the other thing, when Dave Bing was running for mayor,
Hmm.
we had selected him as Hartford Man of the Year, and we had a an event that honored him, and I worked in that. I kind of helped organize that and served as EMC for that. So that
Okay.
was fun. I enjoyed that.
So, I mean, one of the things that can help, because I'm sure you've observed, I've been, I come from a family of service to the Hartford, and I'm, been doing it myself, doing a lot of different serving in various capacities, trustee, Hartford Men United, Africa Relief Ministry, to name a few.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and but it's work, yes, but it helps me to get closer to God.
Absolutely.
And so I don't mind doing it.
Mhm.
And you, the word you use was fulfilled.
Mhm.
And that is something that I think a lot of our young men and men who are my age and your age need to hear that message of, is this work or is it fulfill? Kind of the difference between the two. So when you say fulfilled, what does that mean to you?
Fulfilling means to me that I derive satisfaction from it. I, you know, I derive satisfaction from it. I enjoy helping people. I enjoy um, doing whatever I can to try and improve whatever the situation may be.
Mm-hmm.
And it may not be much, and really, it's really not a whole lot of effort. It's just the commitment. That's all it is. And people sometimes don't want to make the commitment.
Yeah, and that's the issue, and not just that commitment, but the commitment to the faith and the expectations from the faith.
Mhm.
Kind of going into the young men, advice for younger men, in their teenage years, dealing with any issues with their parents, kind of getting into church and understanding church and education and hobbies or extracurricular activities, and then of course peer pressure. What advice would you give young men that can help them overcome some whatever they might be dealing with as that in that teenage and young adult phase of life?
I have three kids, two sons and one daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And what I always told them was, I'll edit it since it's a church event. But if you hang with people who are not constructive and are not productive, that's what you'll be. Because young people like to fit in, and
Mm-hmm.
if you want to fit in, if you hang with people that are doing good and positive things, then you want to fit in, so you do good and positive things. If you
Mm-hmm.
hang with people that are doing things that are destructive and unproductive, then you do what they do because you want to fit in. And
Mm-hmm.
that mine was a lot more graphic.
Sure. No, I totally get it and totally agree.
Yeah.
um when you get to that point, are you retired yet?
Oh, yeah. I've been retired. Yeah.
Good. Hey, now kind of going back to sort of the point, the working stage of life again, maintaining a career for 30 and 40 years, or more, that can be a lot of challenging and have its ups and downs. Any advice that you can give to young men who are at that stage of life?
My advice would be, you know, your career is great. I mean, you got to have income, you got to have resources for your family,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to do what you have to do to earn what you need.
Mm-hmm.
But I learned probably somewhere around 40 some years old, later than I should have. But you have to, at least for me, I found taking the time out of your day to at least devote some time to prayer and Bible study. I,
Mm-hmm.
I made a habit at about that stage where every day before I'd go to work, of course, I have a prayer in the morning, and then I would read. If it was what the best thing for when you got a schedule like people have when they're working, read this psalm or read a few verses of Proverbs. I mean, there's all kind of wisdom in Proverbs, and
Yep.
it's very practical right now, applicable wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
And if you read that, just read them before you go to work, and they're so there's so much fruit in there. You don't even have to have a sequence to it. You can just randomly pick a chapter in Proverbs and pick 2 or 3 proverbs out of there, and you'll probably apply it to something that's going on in your life right then. And a
Mhm.
psalm is also, it's a mini sermon or a mini prayer, and
Mhm.
it'll cool you out. It'll give you peace, and I found that sustained me. And then after I retired, I had more time, and I'm pretty diligent in my Bible study now in the morning. So,
Sure, sure. No, that's definitely good advice to have. Marriage.
mhm.
What advice would you give young men who are looking for a wife and men who are, sort of trying to keep a wife? Any advice for
Yeah, yeah. For men that are trying to keep a wife, you don't have to react to everything. I mean,
Mhm.
you just don't. You don't have to. I'll tell you an example. My my late brother had just gotten married, and he was talking to his father. He was visiting his father-in-law,
Mhm.
and his mother-in-law was in the other room, and she was going off. I mean, just really, she was. And my brother had just gotten married, and he looked. He said, "Hey," he said, "Mr. Fisher," he said, how do you deal with that?" And his father-in-law said, "With what?"
Yep.
So, you pick your fights, basically. You pick your battles.
Mhm.
And when you look, speaking of Proverbs, that proverb about when you're choosing a wife, about was it about a pearl in the snout of a pig?
Mhm.
Uh, a woman that's indiscreet
Mhm.
is like a pearl in the snout of a pig, which basically means that, she may be fine, but if she is not discreet,
Exactly.
that's just a lot of wasted fine.
I know that's right. That'll take that
Yeah,
fine right off of her real fast.
right, right, right. So those are the things I
Yeah,
mean.
yeah. You got 3 children, you said. So those of us, I got 2 teenagers, so I'm in the thick of it right now, and and it's a blessing, and it's also a bit of a reality check. What advice would you give? Well, first of all, for young men who haven't yet started a family, how that has blessed your life, and more importantly, or just as important, those young men who have started families, the importance of being a father and advice to them.
So if you haven't started a family and you're contemplating it, it's the greatest blessing that you can have is
Hmm.
to have children. I mean, that just kind of holds the unit together, um, and it it'll it's almost cliche, but if you approach it right, it will make a better man of you. I remember when my first child was born, my daughter.
Hmm.
I mean, it was the hospital when she was born. I was like, yeah, man, I'm responsible for this. I can't get out of this. I'm responsible. I mean, and it's just the gravity of it stuck
Hmm.
with me. That you can't screw up. You got to keep it together because you got somebody that's depending on you. I
Yep.
mean, totally dependent on you. So it it for me, it just kind of pulled me in and made me more. I tried to be more responsible.
Yep. No, that I've heard that. I've heard many brothers say that exact same thing. And how about raising kids? Any?
Um, I, I was very fortunate. I mean, my kids, they all drive you nuts, but
Right.
I never really had any major issues with them. But I'll say this: the ones that listen are the ones that do better. I mean, but it's hard to tell them that, you know. I
Yeah.
mean, you can tell them that, but you just, they're
Yeah.
young and they know, everybody's been young and everybody knows everything at that point. But
Yeah.
um, you just, and of course, keeping them in the church and being there with them, not just dropping them off, but
Mm-hmm.
showing them by your own commitment that this is important
Yep.
by
Yep.
being there. So if you do that, then and that is a priority. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, yeah, I play golf, but I wouldn't play golf on Sunday because it's church.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
and you have to show that to them that this is a priority, and they kids watch you, man. They watch what you do. They listen to what you say, and they imitate you. Really, a lot of them they will imitate you.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like once again, like I said, if you hang with fools and if you act a fool as a father, you know, what do
Yeah.
you
Don't
expect?
be surprised if your
Right,
kids act a
right,
fool.
right, right.
Yeah, no, that's good. Now the stress alone of maintaining a career for 30 or 40 years, a wife and
Mhm,
raising children, the stress of that alone can take its toll. And so this fourth aspect of this working stage is just as important, and that's our health.
mhm.
So what advice would you give young brothers as well as brothers my age and your age
Mhm.
about the importance of health?
Well, if you don't have health, you're in trouble. You got problems, and you create problems for other people as well.
Hmm. Hmm.
So, I mean, I would say your diet is very important. Not just when you've been excessive. I mean, when you're excessive.
Hmm.
No one needs. I mean, they shouldn't have to tell you. Well, you weigh yourself. You know when you're doing things, you're overdoing it. So
Right.
you maintain a decent diet and maintain and get proper exercise. I was an athlete in high school and in college, so that was just always been a part of
Hmm.
my life.
Hmm.
Working out. So it was not a chore to me. It was really almost therapeutic for me.
Hmm.
The stress of life, of work, of family, of kids, of all that. So exercise for me was like an outlet just to pull
Yep.
out.
Yep.
And
Yep.
and it would just serve two purposes. It maintained a certain level of health, and it also uh, gave me a lot of sense of calmness and relaxation. So
Mm.
that I mean, whatever, and if you're not even into competitive sports or something, just walking. If a lot of guys swim, that's an excellent exercise. Swimming,
Hmm.
and but you just have to make it just like anything else, like saving, like um, going to church, like praying. You have to make it part of your routine. You
Yep.
can't say, oh, I'm gonna exercise, and then you do it for a couple of weeks and let it go. It's just like saving. If you save a couple months and then you say, hey man, I ain't into that no more, then you won't have anything.
Yeah, we're
But
gonna get into that next.
yeah, but if
Uh,
you, but
yeah.
it's the same. You need to have a certain level of discipline in your life, and that helps
Awesome. Awesome. The so this living stage of life, is sort of where you are now and where I aspire to be
you. Hmm.
in the next 10 or so or less years.
Hmm.
But the focus there is on three things: money, because you're no longer working. So how are you supporting yourself for 25 to 30 plus years of living expenses and retirement? Lifestyle, you're no longer working now, so what are you doing with your time? And legacy, what type of legacy do you want to leave behind, and how important is that? So we'll sort of touch on each of those one at a time. First thing is the money aspect. Our community has done a poor job of retirement savings. At least when I look at the statistics of how much people have saved when they reach 50, 60 years old, the numbers are pretty bleak. So what advice can you give to sort of, I understand 401k and IRAs and all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I would and I certainly want to hear you, share that advice, what was worked for you. But how can we get brothers to get over this hump? You mentioned discipline, and that is the main thing I would like to focus on. Any advice on building that discipline?
You have to treat it just uh, like it's almost like, I guess, if you're on some type of medication,
Mm-hmm.
it's that important. So you have to make it a part of your routine, and you should make it almost seamless if you can. Like most, if you work for large companies, they have savings and investment programs where they take it right out of your check before you see it, and if they allow you to do that, you just make it a way of life. Save through that, and then if you want to save in addition to that, just it's just like paying your light bill. I mean, every month you put so much away,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like scripture is so applicable to everyday life. As you sow, so shall you reap. and if you don't sow while you're able to sow,
Mm-hmm.
don't go looking to reap anything, because it won't be anything.
It's as simple as that. It's as difficult as that,
It is, but
unfortunately.
if you're married particularly, it helps to have, if you two if you're on the same page, it's perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes one complements the other. You know, one might be a spender, one might be a saver, or vice versa. Ideally, if you both can do the same things, both save, that's ideal. But I mean, you have to work together as a unit if you're married
Mm-hmm.
to to you have goals, and you look at other people as an example. That's a good another method of of learning is
Mm-hmm.
look at other people. If you see people that were ahead of you, and you see even a bad example, you see how they struggle, then
Mm-hmm.
you say, I don't want to be like that. Well, how do you avoid being like that? You don't do what they did,
Mm-hmm.
or do something different. Or if you see someone that is comfortable and that things worked out for them, and you talk to them and find out what they did, and
Mm-hmm.
it's obviously is some form of saving and investment, and then kind of replicate what they did as much as you can within your own budget. So
Absolutely.
yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
How about your time? Because a lot of times people, they one of the struggles I'm seeing now with this current generation is they want to go travel the world and get all and I'm a big fan of travel. I've traveled the world
yeah,
myself. Fortunately for me, on other people's money
right,
using
right,
corporate.
right,
It
right.
was part of my job, but anyway, I see so many people. A lot of the money that would go towards savings and for more higher priority things are being spent on traveling, and that's, I don't know if that's meant to be something that you save for retirement and you go see the world, but what types of things are you doing with your time now, that since you have been retired, that are enjoyable?
Well, we've done, some traveling.
Hmm.
You know, during the retirement, we've traveled, but I also traveled while I was working. That was
Hmm.
part of the job, so that also allowed me, some experience there. But
Hmm.
travel was good. But again, service. I mean, I'm big on that.
Yep.
Until this COVID thing came down, I used to go down to uh, Capuchin Kitchen, and I would go down there and volunteer to help serve lunch.
Mhm.
Uh, to people that came in there. It was a soup kitchen, and
Mhm.
it's no big deal. I mean, you got a whole bunch of people in there, and it was no work. I mean, just
Right.
you pass out some food. You got a line of people coming through.
But just smiling at people and showing them the dignity and courtesy of a smile,
Yeah, yeah, and
you know.
I'm the salad guy, so I give you your salad. Next day I may be the meat guy. I'll give you the meat. But
Mhm.
it's you to me again. It's fulfilling and rewarding to be able to help somebody because you never know.
Mhm.
Things change. You never thought things would be as they are today. You might be on the other side of that line.
I know that's right. I know
So
that's right. That's pretty huge.
yeah.
Legacy. What type of how important is the legacy you leave behind to you, and how do you sort of define that legacy that you want folks to be remembered, your family or yourself?
Um, I just would like to be remembered as a guy who loved the Lord
Mm-hmm.
and who tried to serve.
Mm-hmm.
And I had plenty of flaws, plenty of flaws, but I tried to do my best,
Mm-hmm.
and that's it. I tried to be obedient to the basic principles that Jesus taught.
Mm-hmm. What was the kind of the number one thing you mentioned you had a lot of falls, and God knows I have, and I probably got a few more in the future. What's kind of been the main thing to sort of get you through? Do you change your routine? Do you enforce your routine? What helps you get over those falls in life?
My biggest flaw, and if I'm just being real honest, uh, is first, it's probably if you ask my family, it would say impatience,
Mm-hmm.
and the other is my. I'm very sensitive to these racial issues,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll tell you, like a friend of mine that used to attend Hartford, and he moved back to Alabama, and he told PA one day, he said, "Pastor, the hardest thing about being a Christian is loving the white man." I,
Yeah.
I mean, I can tell you something else, but it would not be the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get you.
But
I
but
get
I have but I say this every time I'm about to totally go over the edge.
you. Mm-hmm.
God will put one of them in my life to make me remember. See, it's not across the board.
Yep.
It's not every one of them.
Exactly.
You know. So
And I just turned 51 a couple weeks ago, and I'm already starting to see, uh, you know, well, I've started seeing a while back, but the more I get active and the more I sort of try to get into alignment with God's purpose for my life, you can clearly see, oh, okay, yeah, I had nothing to do with that. So
yeah,
okay, I get the message.
yeah, yeah.
um, I, I I I hear you loud and clear, Heavenly
Mhm.
Father. Appreciate you. Um,
Exactly.
what
Exactly.
what did you do for a living? What was your career?
When I retired from Ford Motor
Oh,
Company.
okay, you were at Ford.
Yeah, I was a distribution manager
Mhm.
when I retired in export sale. So I was responsible for the products that Ford sold outside of the United States
Mhm.
uh, from the order receipt until it was released from the order was vehicles released from the plant.
Mhm.
So distribution was the overall title, but that entailed um, order scheduling and allocations.
Yep. Yep.
Export was kind of a stepchild of the rest of the domestic market
Mhm.
because the volume, is so much different than
Yep.
it is in North America. But so allocation, you had to fight for when things were selling well. You had to fight for your allocation. And I had worked in a lot of different departments before I got to be a distribution manager, so I had some contacts, quite a good array of contacts in the company,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess I had good relationships with people, and I was able to get favors and call in
Yep.
favors,
Yep.
and kind of establish a little network that worked out. And fortunately, there were some of the few brothers that I worked with that were in positions where we could help each other, and and they were good Christian brothers. I mean, we're friends to this day. We play golf every week together,
Mm-hmm.
and we, you know, iron sharpens iron, as you say.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So,
Awesome. Well, last question. When you hear grown man style, what does that mean to you?
grown man style in terms of fashion, in terms of
Grown man, what it means to be a grown man.
what it means to be a grown man. What it means to be a grown man is to be responsible for yourself and what you do and how you present yourself,
Mm-hmm.
and to be responsible for how you present yourself, uh, so that if you present yourself with dignity, for the most part, you'll be treated with dignity.
Mm-hmm.
If you present yourself with as someone who listens, people will be, they'll be comfortable speaking with you.
Mm-hmm.
And if a grown man should have some life experiences,
Mm-hmm.
and you should have that, and that's part of living and learning, and part of you, like you're talking about the attributes of a Morehouse man being well read. A grown man should be well read, and my reading interest is deep but narrow. uh,
Mm-hmm.
my you look at my bookcases, and is I like Black history, and
Mm-hmm.
I read a lot of Black history, and particularly Black biographies and autobiographies,
Mm-hmm.
because what happened is when I got in college, I was exposed. I think probably one of the first books that draw my interest, Man Child in the Promised Land, long
Mm-hmm.
time ago, by autobiography of Malcolm X, and
Yep. Yep.
like, the reading before never was about me or my people to a great extent. It was just superficial. They touch on it, but never. And I learned. I said, wow, all these. I want to know more. And as a result, it just awakened a thirst in me to know more about my people and my history.
Mm-hmm.
And so I satisfied with a lot of biographies. Dexter and I share a lot of reading.
Yep. Yep.
But
Yep. That's
that,
another
that,
well-read brother.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Well, I really want to thank you for doing this.